Good day, sir.
Hey, how you doing there?
I'm blessed, my brother. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. That's it. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate you jumping in on this series of interviews for Arco Academy. Appreciate your
Oh
time,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, no problem, no problem. Anytime.
Good. Let's let like a couple of other people jump on, and
Okay.
then we can get to it. But I'm sure you've been briefed. This is a series of interviews where we're looking at mindset, motivation, and mentality, really, as opposed to sporting achievement. I know your journey's been one that's been quite extensive. Not one, not two, not three, but five NFL teams, which is an amazing achievement in itself. So,
Yeah,
um, like I said, really want to just let a few more people jump on. We always told everybody 4 o'clock, but you know how these things go already. How's your day been?
yeah. Y'all 5 hours ahead over there, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's about the time that people start tuning into what they want to do for the evening now, as opposed to carrying on with work or anything they've been
it's
doing. So
crazy. It's 11 o'clock in the U.S. and 5 o'clock there.
crazy, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it? So you check it. You check it. Um, right.
uh,
Is there anything you really want to highlight, particularly want to highlight? And if there is, then if we get to the end and we haven't touched on it, just mention it, make a point of mentioning it, and we'll go in on that. Yeah.
nah, I'm all good. It's
You,
open book.
okay. Good. Um, all right. We'll give it another minute or two. It's only 2 minutes past four. We advertise this for 4 o'clock. For those who have joined us straight away, thanks for that. This is the third interview in a series of interviews being carried out on behalf of Arco Academy, an alternative provision school in South London, which looks after children with an emphasis on sport within their curriculum. That's why we're talking to sports stars from around the world who embody all of the tools needed to motivate themselves to climb the greasy pole of towards success. So this, I was going to say this afternoon, but it's morning for him. I'm conscious. Today, today we've got Jason Campbell on the line. Jason, it's when two Campbells link up, it's always a problem, right? So
Right,
uh,
right. Exactly.
let's deliver as we do. I've given everybody a chance to join in now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off with some preliminary questions. I really want to know what you're loving and what you're loathing about the lockdown period. I'm sure you're going through as well, Jason. So talk a bit about that.
Yeah, man. For me, the lockdown has been, I've learned a lot of patience. You can't get out and do a lot of things that you're so used to doing, and I'm always a person that always try to see the opposite of things. And, I think this is a time for families and, for us to come together. And, a lot of times families don't get a chance to see each other on a day-to-day basis, especially the parents that they're working a lot. So
Mm,
now to be working from home and to be sharing those moments with your children, it's valuable time. It's valuable time that you don't get back. And, for me, it's just give me an opportunity to reflect on my life and reflect on things that I've done in the past or things that I want to do in the future and how do I get there? And I begin to read more. Of course, I've always been a person that works out a lot, and I think that's part of health. Health is part of living right. Is trying to keep your body in good shape, and a lot of things that you didn't get an opportunity to do before the pandemic because you were always so busy doing one thing or another. I think this is giving me a chance to really sit back and work out and reflect and just like I said, for me, it's just time for growth. This is not going to always be a long term thing. Sometimes things come in life in seasonals and they're temporary, but it's how you challenge yourself during this time and what are you doing to better yourself is what I'm getting out of it.
great mindset, and I guess that brings us nicely into what we're here to talk about today, Jason. And for those who have just joined us in the last couple of moments, might not have seen the promotion that was flying about for this interview. This is the third in a series of interviews with sports stars all over the world for Arco Academy, the brainchild of Lisa Miller, and it's we're tapping into motivation and looking at mindset and mentality specifically for the youngsters right now who might have been experiencing lockdown for the last, I don't know, I've lost time myself, 6 weeks, and they're lacking a bit of motivation. They've got things and targets that they're aiming for, and have to achieve that are going to be important for them for the rest of their life. So we're, trying to give them some gems and some pearls of wisdom to help them along their way. Jason um, has achieved the impossible. I think I'm gonna say that you've achieved the impossible. You became an NFL player. Um, in fact, before I even go into that, Jason, can I just read something that I just found just before I got online? I literally Googled what are the odds of becoming an NFL player, right?
Right, right.
And this was the first thing that came up. If you're lucky enough to be one of the 6.5% to become an NCAA football player and one of the 1.5% of that group to make it to the NFL, you'll be lucky enough to get a 3-year contract out of it. At a minimum NFL salary, at a minimum NFL salary. You won't make enough to live on for the rest of your life. Now, as
Right.
a few of you might have been aware, who joined us early enough, I said that Jason had joined had played for 5 NFL teams. So he's already surpassed what most players achieve, um, even after he surpassed what most people achieve to become an NFL player. So I'm really interested, Jason, um, in how you turned your dream into a reality. How did you,
Yeah.
go from a young man who was aspiring to engage in elite sport? How did you
Like I
turn
said,
that?
yeah, before you do anything in life, you got to have a dream. You got to have a vision. For me, I had a vision as a young kid, what I wanted to do when I got older. I had a dream that I could play professional sports. It came to me in a dream. I didn't know if it'd be basketball or football at the time because I really excelled in basketball and really liked it as well. But the older I got, man, the more I realized, like, the more you put into something, it's the more you're gonna get out of it. A lot
Mm,
of times, dealing with kids nowadays, where I try to help a lot of guys, is they always look for things to just be given to them. Kids nowadays seem too entitled, and I feel like, they want to have growth or they want to have something. A person shouldn't have to push you to do something that's your dream. That's something that you should be putting forth the effort each and every day. You should be grinding yourself. You should be trying to maximize your opportunities while you can. If I got to go get you out of bed or if I got to call you 24/7 to make sure you're on time for something, then that just means your actions is not speaking what you're saying. You're telling me one thing, but your actions is saying another thing. And I feel like if you want to have that aspect and you want to have that determination, you got to dig deep. You got to reach down inside yourself, man. I always say, man, the best part of you is what do you do when no one else is watching?
mm,
Are you the type of person that's, because that's who your true character is. It's easy to do things sometimes when everyone's watching, you're putting on the show. But when no one's watching and it's just you, what are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing to showcase that I'm getting better at my skill? And it will show. What's done in the dark will always come to the light. So, if you that type of person and this is what you want, don't be afraid to go for your dream. A lot of people don't go for their dreams because they're afraid of failure. You
mm,
know, you know, you can't let failure defeat you mentally to a point that you don't even try. Most of my success has come through things where your mind try to tell you like you can't do this or you can't do that, but you can't pay attention to that. You always gotta understand that that's just the enemy trying to keep you from going where what God has planned for you. And that's just a great opportunity for me to say, okay, anytime I feel that, I'm like, no, I'm going for it. And if you do fail at something, guess what? That just means if one door closes, there's two, three other doors that opening up for you just because you tried. So don't be afraid to try.
At what point, Jason, did you see yourself achieving your goal? I mean, when was the moment you said, I can do this and I will?
Well, I think for me, the moment that I was in high school, when I realized that I was a high profile athlete in high school, because I compared myself to other guys. I used to go to camps across the summer where I used to involve myself around other kids because I didn't just want to measure myself around the guys that I grew up with, around the guys that's just in my community, but I wanted to see what else is out there. And I wasn't afraid to go out there and compete.
Mm,
And I used to go to these camps at these universities and just put myself out there. And that's how I was able to measure myself and figure out leaving that camp, figuring out, hey, this is what I got to work on more. This is what I got to do better. And just having a different mindset. And then once I got into college and everything, you're surrounded around a bunch of great athletes. And we was able to have great years at Auburn. And 2004 was a special year. It was a successful year because we had a bunch of unselfish players. We had a lot of guys that were drafted into the pros, and we had opportunity to succeed and play 10 years in the National Football League. But if it would have been one person or two people that would have been selfish, then none of us would have been able to reach our goal. But because guys was unselfish and guys worked together, we was all able to achieve our goals and able to go further in life than we imagined. Because, like I said, it's all about working together. And at the same time, we all had one common goal, and one common goal was to win. So when you're around people, you got to find out like what's your one common goal. And for me, it was around surrounding myself with the right type of people, the right type of friends to help with your attitude. I didn't want a bunch of people around me to just be yes people. I didn't want people just because they wanted to be there. I wanted people around me to tell me the truth, like tell me when I was wrong, tell me, like just don't be a yes person. Be someone that's not afraid to challenge someone. And I appreciate those type of people that was around me.
You've touched on teams and people around you being important. I really want to home in on the early part of your journey. So you deciding for yourself, because if you know, mindset is important, self-belief is important. Talk about that that early day motivation. And I'm asking you
Yeah.
that specifically about the beginning part for a reason. I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah, yeah. When you're a teenager, man, like so much is thrown at you. For me, it wasn't. For me, it was kind of different. I always had this thing where you say to yourself, "Dare to be different." A lot of kids in high school they want to do whatever is cool or whatever is going on that seems like it gets a lot of attention. Everyone wants to be popular, and for me, it's about just what am I doing to to be different? Like it's easy for everyone to do the same thing, but what are you doing that's gonna stick out a little bit more? And just me growing up and having a mother and a father, who took me to church, all the time, so I had God in my life early,
Right.
and he helped guide my direction and kept me from a lot of troubles and everything, and I always learn from other people's mistakes. I would see other kids that had a lot of talent to go do something and be successful, but they chose the wrong path. They chose to go another direction at the time because they thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And then 10 years from then you go back, you see them, and the first thing they say is, man, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have paid more attention. You know, I'd be further ahead than what I am
Yeah.
because there's so many opportunities out there for us, but you're only limited to what you allow yourself to go out and engage into. And for me, man, at an early age, man, I just wanted to change. I just wanted my family to have opportunity to see differently. We grew up in a great area and everything, but at the same time, like we didn't have a whole bunch of money or we didn't have a whole bunch of things, but my dad introduced us to a lot of things when we travel, take family trips in the summertime, so I got a chance to see more than just my comfort zone. And me doing that, expanded my territory, man. It made me want to engage more and more to what's out there.
Mm. Now that sounds like there's a few things I want to touch on that. But before I do that, I just want to encourage everybody who's joined us on the live to send in questions, to get involved. I'll ask a few of those questions as I always do on these interviews at the end. You talk about the early stages, and I wanted to know about that because things change, right?
Right.
There are points within the walk, within the journey where that early day motivation isn't enough. You need to kind of find impetus from elsewhere. So how was you able to do that? And specifically in terms of when you weren't seemingly developing at the rate you wanted to, progressing at the rate you wanted to,
Mhm.
at those points, how were you able to dig deep and find motivation?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of times when you get things in life or you feel like you reached a certain plateau or you want to reach a certain plateau, you're gonna be challenged. You're gonna be mentally challenged more than anything. A lot of times is you get so tired, you feel like sometimes you're fighting and fighting, and all of a sudden you get to this point and you just feel like, man, is this work? Is this for me? Like, is it really for me? Is it worth all of this that I'm going through?
Mm,
And at the end of the day, you have to tell yourself, like, yeah, it is. Nothing that's great or that's for you is gonna come easily because
yeah.
if anything is given to you and you didn't earn it, it's not gonna mean as much. But when you have to go out and earn something and you get it, you look at it with a whole different mentality. You take care of it better. It's just like if someone just gave you a car out of nowhere, okay, you may not appreciate it as much as you would had you gone out and worked for it and got it yourself. And I just feel like for me, man, like there was many times like in my career where I was just like, man, like is this gonna happen? You
Mm,
just feel like you just keep hitting yourself against the wall, and it just feel like it won't fall. And I just feel like over time, I kept going and kept going. And once you push through those hard times, I've learned over the years that when you're closest to your dream or to something that's success, that's when the hardest hit comes. And it's
mm,
almost like you got to get through that 1 yard tackle just to reach the goal line in order for your team to succeed. It's the same way in life. Like right when you get right to accomplishing something, expect to be hit with something and just understand that that's only there to knock you off your path. And if you
mm-hmm.
just get through this and you fight through it, there's so much greater and so much success that's going to come from it once you get on the other side of it. So don't focus so much on the now. Don't focus so much on your circumstances, but look further beyond your circumstances and see like, what do I got to do to get through this? And once you get through it, man, it's like a relief.
Let me big up some of the people that have joined in on the conversation. I see Badou Jack has joined us, big time boxer. Got a lot of love for Badou Jack, got a lot of heart, showed a lot of heart in the ring over the years. And all the rest of you guys that have joined us. There was a question that floated up that said, on a lighter note, do you like Hawaii? Is that where you are, Jason? Is that where you're based at the
Do I like
moment?
Hawaii? Yeah, of course I like Hawaii. It'd be nice to be in Hawaii right now. While we're all
We're
kind
all
of still
locked up.
staying put. So,
That's right.
it'd
That's
be
right.
nice to see some beach water. But no, I just got a little decor, around the
Mm,
house or whatever that.
yeah.
I'm into decor and everything, and I enjoy different hobbies.
Darkest before the dawn is essentially what you was just outlining
Hmm.
in your last answer to the last question. Um, I guess, what were the best bits of the journey, Jason? And for those who have joined us, Jason's an NFL player, former NFL player, I should say. He played for 5 different teams, and in terms of the stats, it's nearly impossible for anyone to get to the NFL, let alone to represent 5 teams. So he broke the mold in more ways than one, and obviously has to have embodied a certain type of mindset in order to do that. But what were the best bits of that journey? I can imagine there were a few, Jason. So give us the ones that are PC and would inspire a younger audience that are watching us.
I think the best thing about the journey, man, is just meeting great people.
Mm,
Like meeting people along the way that got something similar to what you got in mind. I built some great relationships through the locker room. Guys that, man, like people don't understand the hours that go into this. I probably say being away from my family.
mm,
Like when I was playing, and everyone's story is so different. Like, man, like is this gonna happen? You
mm,
just feel like you just keep hitting yourself against a wall, and it just go another direction. And I used to go to these camps at these universities, and just put myself out there, and that's how I was able to measure myself and figure out leaving that camp, figuring out, hey, this is what I got to work on more. This is what I got to do better, and just having a different mindset. And then once I got into college and everything, you're surrounded around a bunch of great athletes. And, we was able to have great years at Auburn, and 2004 was a special year. It was a successful year because we had a bunch of unselfish players. We had a lot of guys that were drafted into the pros, and we had opportunity to succeed and play 10 years in the National Football League. But if it would have been one person or two people that would have been selfish, then none of us would have been able to reach our goal. But because guys was unselfish and guys worked together, we was all able to achieve our goals and able to go further in life than we imagined. Because, like I said, it's all about working together. And at the same time, we all had one common goal, and one common goal was to win. So when you're around people, you got to find out like, what's your one common goal? And for me, it was around surrounding myself with the right type of people, the right type of friends to help with your attitude. I didn't want a bunch of people around me to just be yes people. I didn't want people just because they wanted to be there. I wanted people around me to tell me the truth, like tell me when I was wrong, tell me, like just don't be a yes person. Be someone that's not afraid to challenge someone. And I appreciate those type of people that was around me.
you've touched on teams and people around you being important. I really want to home in on the early part of your journey. So you deciding for yourself, because if you know, mindset is important, self belief is important. Talk about that early that early day motivation. And I'm asking you
Yeah.
that specifically about the beginning part for a reason.
So you're going to be challenged. You're going to be mentally challenged more than anything. You can't just be like, I'm an athlete, but not want to have a desire to be a great person. Like all of it goes hand in hand. Like
Mm,
what you do in one carries over to the other. So, it was always like, if I'm going to care about what I do on the football field, I need to care more about what I'm doing in life and what I'm doing in my books as well. So, man, I was able to graduate with a great, GPA and everything. And to me, it was important. It's important. You receive these scholarships and everything, and you get an opportunity to better yourself. Don't just use it as a waste of time. Go to class, educate yourself, educate your mind, because even when football is over with, there's other things that you're going to want to do in life. And a lot of it is going to require you having a degree, because the world is so competitive now. People are getting masters, they're getting, MBAs and everything.
mm-hmm,
And, people are going deeper and deeper into their education field because they're trying to get ahead of the next person. It's so competitive. So what's going to separate you different than your competitor? And you can't just walk in there with just saying, hey, I used to play football, or I was this or that or whatever. They're going to look at you like, okay, that's nice and all, but what's your degree? What did you
mm,
do off the field? What else do you know outside of sports? Do you know anything else outside of sports? And that's where we gotta start to understand is, yes, sports teach you a lot about life, but don't forget about the other aspect of it. When you're in college and everything, man, learn as much as you can. Be a sponge, soak up knowledge, and everything. And so the hardest part was, man, being able to be a student athlete, being able to manage your time, and then in the NFL, man, it's a grind. It's a grind. Like there's days I spend most of my days with 12-hour days, 14-hour days, at the facility, and then it didn't stop there. I would get home and I would get things sent to me at home where I would have to learn the plays for the next day. And when you get in there, they don't just ask you, like, they don't just start over from day one. They say, hey, you got the information last night. Can you get up and share it with everyone else? Or can you be able to go out here on the football field and be able to facilitate what we sent you last night? So your studying never stops. And for me, it was always constantly just going and going and going. And to a point, you have to learn how to have a balance in life. Like, too much of anything can wear you out,
mm,
but you got to understand how to find a balance. I think the older I got in the NFL, I learned how to understand, yes, it's great to have hard work, but at the same time, have a balance. Know when your body needs rest. Know when your mind needs to be calm. Sometimes you
mm,
just need to just be still.
mm.
You don't always have to be doing something. Sometimes you need to be still and be able to reflect on things that you've done so that you could be better moving forward.
A lot of people showed love with the hearts for that last comment, and I want to concur. I totally believe in that as well, and something more people should kind of incorporate into their being. Better balance, as you put it. A couple of questions that come in, and they didn't come in the question box. So I'm going to ask you them now, Jason.
Uh,
One of them was, how did you juggle being a student athlete? That's coming from Sanch.S61.
Yeah, being a student athlete, the one thing, like I said, first you gotta, once you get to school, you gotta get acclimated with classes. But then the
Mm,
next thing is find out what your major want to be. Find out what you want. What are you in school for? Like, what do you want to do with your major? And a lot of times, a lot of people end up doing things totally different once they finish college than what they went to school for, and
yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. The more you know, it helps you. So I've had the opportunity to go to college. I started out in communications and I ended up in public relations. And both of them went hand in hand because now I do, my podcast with Believe in Everything in Auburn. And then I also do radio for Auburn Sports Network. And then like public relations, I speak in communities. I go and speak to groups at Fortune 500 companies and different things. And just,
Okay.
I talk about teamwork, and team building and, and leadership and how working together, everyone can achieve more, and how to have a great work atmosphere,
Mm,
not just, don't just take up a chair. Don't just be a body in a chair. Be someone that share information, and be someone that's a team player and willing to help and everything. And I think that's something in college, man. Like when you go from practice and then you leave practice, you shower, and then I'll say you eat, and then 7 o'clock it's called study hall when you're a freshman. So then you're a study hall from 7 to 9. You just like, man, do I even get a chance to watch TV?
Yeah.
Can I do something different? But then I understand, like, man, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, it's a grind, and I just I grind it out and everything. And I went to summer school every year, stayed on campus because I was there working out anyway. So I was just like, well, I might as well go to school and continue to better myself. And that way I was able to graduate before I played my senior year of football. You know, not just myself, but Ronnie and my boy Donnie Young. And, you know, it was like 10, 11 of us that played on 2014. We all graduated in August before football season started. So I was able to intern with the mayor during my senior year,
Wow.
you know, which was a joy.
Well,
I was on
that's a big
yeah.
leg up, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So that was cool. I was on the Chamber of Commerce, so I got a chance to learn how things go within the city. When people come
Mm,
to the city, well, how do they, you know, find information? So I got a chance to do that and understand, you know, how schools get built. You know, how things go up, and you think things just happen, but there's a process. And then, you know, working with the mayor, man, it was I got a chance to learn a whole lot. So,
mm.
you know, I was able to learn a little bit about, you know, what goes on in the public as well as what just beyond than just in my little small world of just what goes on the football field. So for me, man, that was a great opportunity.
Before I get back into my questions, I've got another one that's come in, but I just want to just remind everybody this is a series of interviews for the Arco Academy based in South London, an alternative provision school that specialises in sport. And this is the third in a series of interviews with sportsmen and women from all over the world who have done amazing things and who have had to employ high level motivation tactics over their career in order to attain the successes that they have. One of the questions that came in, Jason, was what did you do, I should say, to transition from college football to NFL? And that's from Samson underscore ish.
Oh yeah, what I did from to transition from college to the NFL was,
Yeah,
man, first and foremost, you know, you're a young man. You're going to the league with a whole bunch of grown men that got families, and this is what they do for a living. So, the first thing I came in was just try to figure out, like, how do I fit in with all the guys? You know, like, get to know them. You know, sit down, have conversations. You know, start to be the sponge. Like I said, don't just be there and be in the room. You know, come in with the understanding of respect. You know, respect those that have gone before you, and you know, to much is given, much is, you know, required.
mm,
And I feel like coming in as a high draft pick, man, I didn't want to come in as the type of guy where, you know, you feel like, oh man, I'm here. You know, you arrogant, like that's the wrong attitude. You know, you walk in there with respect, you know, and you grind. And it's almost like starting over.
yeah,
Um, Everything that I did in college, from an aspect of, yes, I learned a lot from the football field. I learned a lot by going to class, but at the same time, what am I doing now that I got to the NFL? How is this going to help me? Well, the way it helped me was I learned how to communicate, man, because I was always a communicator in college. You know, you can't be a person that's shut off. You can't be a person that's always quiet and closed minded, because then you can't grow. You know, you have to put yourself out there. You got to communicate. You got to start conversations. You know,
mm,
sometimes I would go in the locker room and I say, okay, for a couple of days, I'm gonna find different people to talk to each day so that I get to know this person, I get to know that person, and I want them to know a little bit about me and and everything. So that's how I went about that, and then understanding how to juggle money. You know, I got a financial advisor and sat down with him, and then we come up with a plan. You know, for me playing in the National Football League, it was always 48% of your money came out of your check before you even got it in the first place. And I was just like,
mm,
wow, I didn't know how that much money came out of your check. So actually, when people see what you really get half of it. And then I had to understand, like, okay, how do I juggle the other half? How do I
yeah,
spend money at an early age, but understanding, like, when life is over, I mean, when football is over, I still got to live a certain lifestyle in order
yeah,
to position myself. So how do I do that? So I just came over the rule. I said, out of the rest that's left, I'm gonna live off 70% of that, and then 30. I mean, I'm gonna live off 30% of that and save 70%. So I lived off 30%, and that took care of like my mortgages, my all of my expenses and everything. And 70% I would put away. So I did that each and every year that I was in the league. And now it's true because I learned by being a sponge in the locker room from guys before me. I would ask them, I say, hey, what is it that I need to look for when I finish playing football
Mm,
that I don't do now? And they say, guys, you're going to spend way more time and spend way more money when you finish, because now a lot of your time is taken up with football and with different things that they're pulling and tugging at you to be at this event, be at that event. And now when you're not, you have more time on your hands. And now you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what do I do? What are you doing? Well, yes, you're going to spend more money because now you have more time on your hands. And you got more time on your hands, like right now in the pandemic, a lot of people are spending more money
mm,
probably on just on the internet because there's so much idle time. So, you have to learn how to stand with your idle time, man. And for me, bro, it's just, I'm so glad I did that. And I'm so glad someone told me before
mm,
I got to this point, because once you get to this point, it's too late. This is something you have to start early. And I just feel
mm.
like for me, man, the transition from college to pros was being able to communicate with people and grown people, that's in the workforce, and not just look at yourself.
That was a great question, by the way. And anybody watching and tuned in at the moment, please send in as many questions as you can while we've got Jason here, because he's been dropping gems from the very beginning. And that last one on financial literacy is definitely one that, if all the ARCO students that are watching this, that are tuned in, if you don't take anything else away from this interview, please take that. Ask questions from those who have done it before and learn their lessons. Um, when I was doing my research on you, Jason, I noticed that. I noticed that, and I'm not a great NFL lover, but
Right.
and I'm a sports journalist, so I appreciate all sports and sportsmen and the journey, and especially the mindsets that have gone behind that journey, especially as a black man. 2008, 2009, 2010. Would I be right in saying that those were your best years?
2008, 2019. Yeah, 2011. Before I broke my collarbone. Like those
Right.
were some
Okay.
good years. In Washington, I went through a lot of different coordinators, but at the
Mm,
same time, I had to persevere through a lot, and it taught me a lot, man. Like when you have to go through some rough times, you have to go through some hard times, you have to go through change.
mm,
Like we live in a society in a world where you got to be willing to adapt or you fall behind. And I think for me, going through all those changes helped me be able to keep adapting in life. When change is thrown at you, you don't just turn and run from it. You embrace it and you move forward and you keep going. And I think for me, playing in the National Football League, it helped me with a lot of that, because a lot of things are out of your control. And
mm,
we as people always feel like when we can control things, we feel we're happy, we're patient, we're relaxed. But as soon as something is out of your control, we become uncomfortable.
yeah.
People let anxiety sit in, and then their mindset starts to ravel with all these different thoughts. You know, that's because you're not embracing the change or the transformation that's coming in your life. Like sometimes you go through change to make you better. If
Mm,
everything happened to you in a good way, if everything that happened to you was always good, would you ever grow? You would never grow. So sometimes things come to you and they happen to you to make you look at yourself or make you change and see what you need to do better, because you went through a hardship or you went through something that you didn't see coming. And I feel like for me, man, like a lot of those things I went through was it created me to be a bigger person. It
mm,
created me to be more patient. It gave me an opportunity to understand that, life is not always how we see it, and everything. But it just doesn't, like, things are gonna work out in your way because you got to change your mindset. And for me, during this pandemic, this has been all about renewing my mindset. Well, I used to sometimes hope things would happen, where now you have a different mindset of expecting things to happen, expect to
mm,
be blessed, expect to have favor, expect greatness, and I think doing that, you start to change your mindset, you start to see life a little bit differently, you start to engage differently. And as we grow and as we get older, you're supposed to be changing. You're not supposed to be staying the same, or you're not supposed to continue to be the old you. You're supposed to be embracing so that you can grow. But you only grow by renewing your mind. If you let your mind stay focused on things in the past, and you just stay there, then you can't grow. Like you got to understand, how can I put the past behind me, learn from
mm,
it, but keep moving forward? That's what life is all about. It's all about moving forward. A lot of times people get stagnant because they can't get over something, or they just, they feel like man, I'm just not strong enough. Like, yes, you are strong enough. And yes, you can get over it and you can get through it. But you got to renew it in your mind first.
Yeah.
And because most of the time, what you think is how your body feels, is how your emotions feel. And so if you want to start having a positive mindset or you want to start having transition in life, change your mind, renew your mind, start to do things so differently instead of doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's not happening. It's time to do things differently. It's time for you to embrace, like, this pandemic is a great opportunity for people to grow within yourself. Don't compare yourself to what other people are doing or how other people are, other things that other folks have. What is it that you want out of life? What is it that you want to do better moving forward? And how you gonna get there? Set a plan. Write down some of your goals. I've learned this over the years. I used to hear people tell me that, but now I've gotten to a point where I write down some of my goals, and then I go back and look at them a week at a time, and say, okay, did I do something this week to achieve did I do something to be working towards my goal? And if I didn't, then I say, okay, I need to make sure I'm embracing this more and more, because you are trying to renew your mind. And right now, people mentally are challenged because all this stuff going on. You feel like you're closed in and you're so used to doing other things. But guess what? You are going to be allowed to do other things in the near future when things are more healthier to do them. But what's going to make you differently then than before the pandemic happened? If you come out of the pandemic and you're the same person as you were before, then you didn't do anything during this time to embrace change and embrace transformation within yourself. You need to come out of this feeling better and being a better person overall, not in just one area, but overall, because we need to understand that it's about moving forward.
As I said, this is a series brought about by Arco Academy and with Jason Campbell. This is literally from one Campbell to another, one J Campbell to another J Campbell. We're having a good time. I'm actually having a good time, actually, because some of the gems you're dropping are just the way that I live my life and have done for the last how many years. So it's good to hear it from another J Campbell. And for all the youngsters watching, I'm hoping you're picking up on some of these gems because those are the type of things you need to be thinking about in this period. Jason, I'm going to ask you for three traits. This might be a bit
Yeah.
difficult, so I'm going to preempt you. Three traits that a dreamer who is to become an achiever needs to embody. Before you answer that, though,
Hmm.
I really want to ask about the broken collarbone. So you had a
Yeah.
broken collarbone.
All right.
After three, maybe four pivotal years, you was in your ascendancy.
Right.
Effectively, you was on the cusp of probably what they call your best years,
Hmm.
and then you suffered a collarbone injury. Talk about that. Talk about coming through that and just your
Yeah.
mindset that helped you get back to the best person and helped you get to another contract.
Yeah, that was a tough period. I broke my collarbones, had one of our better seasons in the pros. I was playing for the Raiders. It was 4-2 at the time, going on 5-2. Right before the half, I broke my collarbone. Guy kind of slammed me into the ground, and then I remember the stretcher coming out and got back into the room, and then to see on the screen that your collarbone has been shattered in 14 different places,
Wow.
it was kind of tough to see. And to hear the doctor say, hey, we're gonna probably have to put in 14 screws, your right collarbone, and they are still there now, so they haven't been removed. So
Bionic man.
yeah, so they're still in there. And I just remember, man, like, this is when I found out the NFL was real, real business. I remember sitting there. I just come out of surgery, and I remember cutting the TV on, and I'm listening to the TV and listening to the sports talk, and it's talking about the injury and everything, and then it came across that, hey, the Raiders had made a trade, and they had ended up trading for another quarterback at the time, and I was just like, wow, no one even talked to me, and no one had come to the hospital and see me yet or
Okay.
anything. And I was just like, they hadn't had a winning quarterback since Rich Gannon had left, and I was the first winning quarterback. And at the time I was 12-7 as a starter. Things was on the up and up, and our team was young and we was growing. And I'm laying in a hospital bed. I was just like, and I have yet to hear from my head coach at the time, and he ended up making a trade and everything, and pretty much took my contract that they was talking about renewing my contract, and pretty much took my contract and gave it to a whole nother quarterback, and
Wow.
uh, and that kind of hurt me, and it scarred me a little bit, and it was one of those things that kind of like someone just rip your heart out,
Mm.
and everything. That's when I realized, like, man, this is a business. Like, don't get your feelings or emotions so involved in it to a point that you can care so much, man, that you can end up hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And so I just learned, man, to just, fall back a little bit, renew myself mentally, get back to another place. I ended up signing with the Bears the next off season, but that was hard because I feel like I didn't have to go anywhere because I feel like I had earned the right to still be in Oakland.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it was out of your control. But then at the same time, man, a lot of people are only concerned with what can you do for me now, or what have you done for me lately? But I've understood. So I've learned, like, man, you know what? I'm not in the business of just being around people that just want me for now. Like, if you with me, I want you to be with me through it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. And that's why I say, man, who does that better than your family? My family, man, has always been there for me through the highs, the lows, the good, the bad. And sometimes, people always want to try to run from their families and everything. But man, like, through thick and thin, your family gonna be there. And a lot of people gonna come around you for various reasons or anything, but no one knows you more than the people that grew up with you.
Yeah.
And man, I still have a lot of my friendships is from high school and guys I met through college, and I have a few from the pros. But man, like, it taught me so much in the business aspect of the world of the NFL that it's just, once I couldn't do anything for them because I had a broken collarbone and 14 screws in my right shoulder. Once I couldn't do anything for them, they didn't want any parts to do with you. So
Right.
then they ended up moving on quickly. And I've learned that's part of the change I was talking about, man, trying to renew your mind and keep going because there are so many challenges and everything. And so I had to go through that. And it built me, it made me stronger as a man.
We're at the point where you're going to give us the three traits that a dreamer who's to become an achiever. And I'm asking everybody because I know it's difficult to narrow it down to absolutely three, and I guess that's why you're putting so much into all the answers in terms of what the youngsters can use to help them along their journeys towards whatever success point they deem. Um, so before you answer it, I just want to kind of give everybody an opportunity again to send your questions in. I've seen a few in the questions box. I'm going to get to all those at the end. Um, so Jason,
All right.
free traits, free traits, sir. Go for it.
Well, like I said, my thing, man, I always say, three traits to trying to shoot for your dream is first and foremost, set a goal. Set a goal. You got to have a goal. And the reason I say that is you got to be shooting for something.
Mm,
A person that, you'll fall for anything if you're not trying to do something. And, I always say, like, dare to be different. Like, have that mindset of how do I get to my goals? Like, set those goals and go for them. Are there going to be challenges that come along that's going to try to knock you off the goal? Sure, it always is. That's part of it. No goal that I know that's worth achieving has come easily. And, I would probably say the second thing is your mindset. What I mean by your mindset is, mentally you are what you think. And so if you want to do something in life or you want to get through something, renew your mind. And you have to understand that your mind is so much, man. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. Soak up, be a sponge. Soak up knowledge. Not just in what you do, but soak up knowledge in what's happening around you. And just like I tell kids that play ball sometimes, I say, guys, don't just learn your position, learn the positions around you. Because if you do that, it makes you more of a student of the game and it makes you smarter. So it's the same thing in a workforce. Don't just learn your job. If your goal is just to be in the job or have a job, then okay, that's your goal. But if your goal sometimes is to want to be an owner or to want to be the executive or want to be the manager, then you need to learn everyone else's job while you're there. And I would probably say the third thing, man, the third thing is your drive. And what I mean by that is, man, like, what are you doing when no one else is watching?
yeah.
That's the drive I'm talking about. Like, it's easy for me to go out here and lift weights in front of people. It's easy for me to go out here and run or I've had those teammates before that do all hooting and hollering, right in practice because the coaches are standing out there. But then, once you leave the practice or you got to get together on your own, this man, I got to do something, or I'm always busy, or, quiet as a mouse when it's that time. But as soon as you got an audience, you want to be seen, you want to be heard. So my whole thing is don't just be that type of person. Be the person that when you're at home, I'm sitting at the house and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's my drive? What's my aspect? Like what am I really doing to want to be better and want to achieve my goals? And how do I do that? And like I say, what do you do when no one else is watching is the most important thing to yourself and the most important thing to your goal and your mindset in achieving your dream.
I loved all three of those. Thanks for that, Jason, and thanks everybody that's tuned in to the Arco series of interviews with sportsmen and women from around the world. Arco Academy is the alternative sports provision school in South London, with an emphasis on sport. They look after kids that might not necessarily be embraced by mainstream infrastructure and need a bit more hands-on support. And it's the brainchild of Lisa Miller. So thanks, Lisa, for connecting the dots on this. Before I go into your career post football, Jason, I really want to, and I'm conscious of time, so we've got about 10 minutes left before we have to reboot the live. Um, but I'm conscious of the fact that you was a quarterback, a black quarterback. Now, those aren't ten a penny. They're not a frequent occurrence. Quite rare, actually. They're a much more recurring theme now, but they weren't, were they, when you were on the come up? So talk about you aspiring to be a quarterback and actually achieving it, because that's something that, a lot of people might have looked in you and thought, you'll never do that.
Well, for me, man, like I said, being a quarterback requires you being in a leadership position. Um, a lot of people, it comes with a lot of pressure. A lot of people, are not built for it. Like I
Mm,
said, like, for me, I feel like being a quarterback, I wanted to be in that position. Um, I was always felt like I was a leader and not a follower. Um, it's something that, I've always dreamed of being and everything, man. It wasn't afraid to make a mistake and wasn't afraid to, be talked about. That's part of the journey. That's part of becoming a special person in life that you want to become, because
mm,
if you're always afraid of what people are going to say about you, or afraid of failure, or afraid of not being successful, you're not going to go very far.
mhm.
Like I said, let people words sometimes inspire you to do things a little bit more. Let people words inspire you to be better. I always say, if people got so much time to sit around and talk about you, I wonder what happens when we open a page up in their life and see what it looks like. And I'll just say, so don't be afraid to be in those leadership positions. Being an African American quarterback, it was tough.
Mm,
You go through a lot more. Like, yes, it is true. Sometimes you feel like you have to be, twice as good, at your position to get paid equal amount, or just in that, in order to, you know, you've heard it before. If you're average as a Black American, sometimes you get fired. And so, for me, I've always been taught to go above and beyond. And, I've embraced, being an African American quarterback, and I have great white friends, I have great Black friends, I have great
mm.
Hispanic friends. I'm a person that enjoy all people. But I would be naive to sit here and say yes, it's not a difference.
Yeah.
When you play those positions or in those leadership positions, it is a
Hmm.
difference. And I feel like me being an African American quarterback, I feel like I carried way more responsibility, because what I depended on how I handle myself as a person, not just as how I put a uniform on, but how I handle myself as a person, is what's going to create an opportunity for those who's coming behind me.
Totally agree.
If I go out there and act a fool, or I go out there and act an idiot and just do crazy stuff and be a selfish person, then I just mess it up for another young Black man that's going to come behind me that wants to be a Black quarterback, because he's going to be judged off what my actions were when I had that opportunity to be in that seat. And so I want, people to come after me to say, like, man, Jay went through it, man. He tried to do it the right way and everything. So now that another young Black kid come along, he's in a quarterback position, the franchise would be entitled to be like, hey, we can draft this kid. I feel comfortable with him, because the one that was before him, he was respectful. But had I acted a fool or acted an idiot or just became a selfish person, then I just messed it up for those that trying to come that's coming behind me. And that's a selfish way to look at things because we're not just in the seat for ourselves. You're in the
Mm,
seat to create opportunities and not just for you, but for more that's coming behind you. And I feel like, man, like it was a big responsibility, man, because especially when you go back and you have these camps in the summertime, you're speaking to these kids and you're trying to tell them like, man, it doesn't matter where you come from or your circumstances, like you can have an opportunity to make it. So don't listen to those around you when they tell you you can't do something or you're not good enough. Just because that's in them or that's their DNA, it don't have to
mm,
be your DNA. Like your DNA could be totally different. Like if you want to see yourself doing something, then have, like I said, have the mindset that I can go do this. And that's the dare to be different. Like I said, it's so much easier to just be in the groups of that's cool for everybody. Everyone wants to be cool, but no one wants to be that person that's like, that stands out a little bit because they're afraid of what people are going to say. Don't be afraid of that. Step out to be different. And it's not that you trying to be better than anyone. It's not that you try. People say, oh, he think he's better than me. He think that. No, that's not it. It's just my dreams and aspirations are just bigger than how you think and how you see things. And so don't get mad at me because I'm trying to better myself because you rather be complacent and sit in your comfort zone. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to go chase something. So if you want to ride with me, then come along. But if you're not, then don't sit there and talk about me because you want to sit there. Don't get mad at my aspirations. So, that's just how it is, man. You got to continue to compete, man. And know who you are. Stay true to yourself. Like, don't change yourself for anyone around you. If you got to change yourself in order for someone to like you or to accept you, you're going to lose yourself. And once
totally
you
agree.
lose yourself mentally, you're going to be messed up. So, people that love you and people that care about you will accept you for who you are. And that's what you got to understand, man. Like, just love yourself first.
I'm going to ask this last question. We've got 2 minutes before we skip on, so if you could just be succinct as possible, and then we'll come back in on the live. And Hannah Johans, I know you've asked a question about Jason's team being undefeated in the college season and wishing that they had a college playoff installed that year. I will ask Jason. Have you seen that question pop up, Jason?
What's the
On
question
your,
again?
it's about what you think about your undefeated college season, and do you wish they had college playoff installed that
Oh, yeah,
year?
yeah, I did
And
see
do
that
you,
question.
yeah, I mean, if you can answer that when we come back on,
Yeah.
I really just want to finish up with this question. Do you think, and this came in earlier on, do you
Mm.
think you're a product of your environment?
I think I'm proud of my environment.
Mm,
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes. I think growing up the way I grew up, what I'm saying, my parents, like I said, being God-fearing parents, I think, poured a lot into my life. And then growing up in a community that loved each other. I grew up in a small community in Mississippi, but we all loved each other. We was all friends and more like brothers and sisters.
mm.
Back in the day where kids used to play outside together, used to ride bikes together. We used to do that, and everything. And I feel like, having a good environment around you, it definitely helps you to be successful in life. And like I said, if you want to find out something about someone, find their five closest friends. Their five closest friends will tell you who they are because you can't hang around five other people and say that you that different, like, so, just learn if you want to know someone, just look who their friends are, look who they're surrounded, look at their environment, and that can tell you more than what comes out of their mouth is just looking at their fruit around them.
We're sitting here with Jason Campbell. This is Joel Campbell, aka Dready Man. This is a series of interviews brought about by Arco Academy, alternative provision school in South London. We're going to end this live now and come back straight away, where we're going to talk about how Jason transitioned from the NFL into his vocation, his current vocation, and some of the charitable endeavours that he's engaged in. So join us straight away. All right, I'm going to end it. Come back straight away. You ready, Jay?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. He's back in again. So like, no, no. Brilliant. Let's give everyone a minute to get back in.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate your discourse. I guess while people are joining back in, you said something that really struck a chord with me. You've got into reading in during this quarantine period, and I'm a big reader myself. So while people are rejoining us, what are some of the books that you've kind of taken in this period? Has it been more than one book, or has it been one book in particular that's?
It's been more than one book. Like I said, it's been some books from some guys that I know. I've been reading T.D. Jakes' book, Crushing. Um, I've read just books on courage, and just, moving on, getting past, past history and stuff, and changing your mindset type books. And then
Mm,
I've been, looking at a series called Relationship Goals. And everyone always say, "Oh man, you say relationship goals." It's talking about relationships as, man, or like people being in a relationship together. Like that's not necessarily the case, and talk about relationship goals. It's talking about every aspect, from friends to business to, to family, all relationships.
let's a lot of the core audience that were with us have joined back in now. Thanks for coming back, guys. Again, if you have just joined us, didn't watch the first segment, this is the third in a series of interviews for Arco Academy, an alternative provision school in South London, where they look after kids that maybe aren't embraced by the mainstream. And there's a emphasis on sport within the curriculum, hence why we're talking to some of the biggest sports names around the world. Today we've got Jason Campbell on the line, former NFL player who plied his trade for 5 teams: Washington, Oakland, Chicago, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah, that's right.
Um, so by all intents and purposes, he broke the mold. He's gone above and beyond. Jason, I really want to look into, we spent the last hour looking at, your career and your mindset approaching your career and all of the stages that kind of went in before that. But I really want to look at you visualizing your exit strategy. You touched on the fact that you spoke to some of the elders in the dressing room from the beginning and asked them what you should be doing, what you should be thinking about in order after your career. So I really want to find out what you did and how you did it, and how you executed, really, and what you do now that you're not throwing the ball around from the quarterback position.
Yeah, like I said, when you first walk into a meeting room, like it feels different, especially when you're the young buck. When I first walked in, everyone's looking at you. They already know you, but first thing they want to see is what type of person this kid is. And so, my whole thing was I was going to show them exactly who I was because I didn't want them to see something different 5 days from then and say, well, that's not who you saw the first day. Your first impression is always your biggest impression on anyone. And, and for me, I wanted to have a big impression on my teammates and my coaches. So, I kind of embraced them and everything, and just kind of find like one of the elders on the team, because once you find an elder on the team, then he's been through the whole process.
Yeah.
And I began to ask questions, and once I started to ask questions, I began to understand that which direction I need to approach and how I need to approach certain areas within the team. And for me, man, that was the biggest thing, was always find someone that you can relate to, or someone that's gone before you that can pass down the information that you need to know. Don't wait till you're involved in something and then say, "Oh, I need the information." No, go ask questions beforehand so that
Hmm.
you can already approach things the right way.
You I like visualizing. I mean, you didn't specifically mention what you do now. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, now I do a podcast called "Believe in Everything in Auburn." Um, and then I also work for Auburn Sports Radio for the football season. So, you hear me on there doing a lot of home games. And then I also, like I said, I run football camp back in Mississippi. We do a free camp for kids every year.
Hmm.
I do public speaking. I go and speak to like motivational groups and Fortune 500 companies, or, just talk on leadership and teamwork. And then other than that, I'm a high school coach. I help coach high school football in the meantime, trying to help younger kids to get better and to grow. And that's an aspect in life.
Is that part of your charitable endeavor? Do you want to touch on that whole charity work that you do, and just embellish on it for me.
Yeah, that's part of like giving back, man. We do a camp in Mississippi every year down at Jones Junior College. Like I said, we have, something roughly between 250, 400 kids show up, each year. And, it's a football camp, but we tie it into FCA, where we tie character into it. And we try to help these kids see differently than just the aspect of, you know, of where they're at or just their circumstances. But we try to make them
Okay.
think bigger. And it's been great. We've been doing it for 9 years. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on this year, we may not be able to have it. So at the same time, but so we'll have to pick it back up. But man, it's been awesome, man. It's been awesome. Like these kids, man, they absorb everything you say, man. Like if you're gonna be around children, man, and around these teenagers, man, like try to be a positive influence, man, because they soak up everything. And I just feel like nowadays it's so much negativity that goes on, and
Mm,
and so many kids losing confidence because of social media, and they're so tended to hear someone say something about them, and kids are committing suicides nowadays. And I feel like it's for us, as elders and everything, to help these young kids to realize, like, man, when people are talking about you, like they're just unhappy, or they're jealous, or they're envy. I always feel like if no one's talking about you, then you must not be doing something.
mm,
I say if you're doing something in life, expect to be talked about, because, you know, no one talks about anyone that's doing nothing. So but if you're doing something in life, anything that's positive or anything that you're moving forward, and you're trying to do something that's different, expect to be talked about,
yeah.
and accept the challenge. Don't be afraid of it.
I guess 5 years time from now, do you see yourself moving on in the space of media? And you talk very well, and you're obviously well versed in your sport, articulate, and know the lay of the land, as it were. Do you see yourself working for one of the bigger broadcasters? Is that an aspiration? And talk about how you see the next 5 years going.
Well, yeah, I always, like I said, I enjoy doing the radio stuff. I enjoy sports commentating and coaching high school ball and everything. But, for me, I am doing what I enjoy doing. It's not that
Right.
I have to do it for, a big price of money. I just enjoy it, man. I just enjoy helping people. I enjoy, giving back to the younger generation, knowledge and stuff that I've learned over the years. And yes, I've had some opportunities to present themselves. But for me, it's just, I want to spend more time being around those I love the most, you know what I'm saying? Because I spend so much time, playing ball, and so much time traveling, and doing so many other things that, yes, you can go out and make more money, but that wasn't making me happy. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to be around, younger
Right.
kids that I can help, my nephews, and, like I said, my family, and just doing things that I love to do. My whole thing is everything you enjoy doing and love to do doesn't have to have a price tag on it. And a lot of people, they chase money and chase money and chase money, and you end up chasing time away. And
Mm,
you look up and you're still not happy. I'm happy with who I am, and what I do for now, and everything. And I continue to grow in this aspect. I'm continuing to try to embrace it and continue to keep building and keep going. But no, I'm not going to do anything because of a price tag. Like I said, I feel like I can be successful in what I'm doing. I feel like what I am doing is starting to take off, and everything. So, you just got to keep doing it, keep highlighting, and keep embracing yourself, and keep striving to get better, man. Like I don't compare myself to other people. I don't compare myself to other friends or
yeah.
what they have or not doing. People say, Jay, you're single. Like, don't you want to be married? Yes, I desire to be married. I desire to have kids. I like now it's just not the time. It just haven't happened for me yet. And when it does happen, it'll be God's perfect timing. And
I'm gonna cut that up and put that out for you, Jay. All right, don't worry. You're gonna have a flood of
yes,
inquiries after that.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? But I'm in a good place though. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a
Mm,
good place. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? Like people always try to put an age on things, man. They always try to put a limit. Like
totally agree.
God doesn't limit you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not rushing anything because I know when it happens, it's going to be the right time. Because a lot of situations that I've involved myself in was because I did things out of timing. I did things because I compared myself to others, or I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be in life because of my age. And like I said, this series I've been looking called Relationship Goals has been helping me. Like,
Mm,
you know, to get rid of all that stuff, get rid of that thinking, because when you do that, you put so much pressure on yourself, and it's not even pressure that the outside is putting on. It's pressure coming from yourself because you're comparing yourself to what everyone says. You got to do this by a certain age. You got to do this by this time. You got to do that by that. No, stop doing that.
Mm.
Stop thinking that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't limit yourself. Like, embrace where you are in life and see yourself what you want to do better and how you're going to get there, and things will come and they will happen for you. But and when they come for you, it's going to be God's perfect timing. So a lot of people do things out of rush, and then they look back at it and they wish they didn't. And then they start to second guess every decision they made because they didn't take their time or they didn't have patience. I don't want to be like that, man. You get one life to live, and I'm not trying to live it rushed, and I'm not trying to live it for others. What I'm saying? I'm trying to live the life I supposed to live.
More than one person has dropped this in either the questions or in the comments that are sliding up the screen here, that you're an absolute inspiration, and I've been told to tell you that, so I thought I'd throw that in there, Jason. Um, do you like people alluding to you as an inspiration, or is it just a natural byproduct of who you are and you don't want to be seen as that way? I mean, does that make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Do you mind? Do you don't mind? Or what?
I'm comfortable. It's just like, man, I feel like, you know, what you do in life is everyone has a purpose, and everyone purpose is a different purpose. Not everyone has the same purpose,
Hmm.
but, I feel like when you feel like you're walking in your purpose, you feel happier, and I do feel like, this is something I enjoy doing and everything. And I don't do it for just the show. I do it because, I enjoy it, and this is who I am. I've learned that over this time. Sometimes you always feel like, man, how come this problem always ended up in my lap? How come this problem always ended up in my lap? And I'd be like, good, great. But then you figure out, like, this is part of your purpose because you find out who you are. Sometimes you're an encourager, sometimes you're a helper, you're a supporter. Everyone comes in different ways and have a different aspect, and you just never know what you say may impact someone else. Because I've been in those shoes where I've heard someone say something and it stuck to me,
Mm.
and they didn't even know I was listening that hard. Where someone told me, they said, Jay, you've always just been kind of hoping for something to happen and everything. Once you start expecting God to bless you and have favor on you, and to do things great for you, and by renewing your mindset. And man, ever since I started doing that, like, I've been feeling great. It's taking all the pressure off of me about marriage. It's taking all the pressure off of me about kids. It's taking all the pressure off of me about just what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And I'm like, I am who I am, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I embrace it and I enjoy it. And man, having that renewed mindset, man, has just blessed me to start expecting great things. Just expect, things to come your way and things to happen for you. You know, we live in a world where people are just so negative to a point that you can let that stuff to sip in
Mm.
and be a part of it. But I choose not to be. I choose to let my mind think positive. I choose to let my mind think beyond negativity. That's not healthy, first and foremost. And and second of all is, you can't get anywhere by just soaking up bad thoughts or soaking up negative. You got to think positively, and then positive things will start to happen.
Jason, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I'm not going to wrap this up yet. I've got another question that's coming from one of the viewers. What do you want your legacy to be?
uh I'd probably say, a person that, thought of others, other than just himself, and a person that, tried to do things the right way, try to lead by example, um, and just a person that always tried to be true to himself and true to others. And for me, that's the biggest thing, is how your peers and how people around you, what they think of you. Not so much of, you know, what you think of yourself, but at the end of the day, people always ask you, man, when you're old and whatever, and you be called home or something, like, what's your goal?
Mm.
And I say, my goal, the aspect is for my children to say that I was a great father, and my wife to say I was a great husband, and your grandchildren to say, you're an awesome pawpaw and everything, and that you taught them life lessons. Like, that's, I think, the most is the most truly honor that any person can ask for.
It's been a great hour and 15 minutes. I think almost the longest interview we've done of this series for the Arco Academy in London, an alternative provision school for youngsters who might not be embraced by the mainstream and who have more of an emphasis on sport. I guess before I leave you, I'm gonna ask you this last question. If you're 38, right?
Say it again.
You're 38, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. 38. Yeah.
Okay, so if you could, envisage an ideal scenario for yourself in the next 10 years, and I know you said at the top of this interview, you said you were into decor, right? So is there a potential career in interior decorating for Jason Campbell? I mean, it's a world away from NFL quarterback and talking
Yeah.
about football on the radio, but I sense a slight passion for the arts. Is that something that you could be embracing?
Yeah, man, I've always been a part of art. I've always liked art. I've always been into like decor, home design,
Mm,
different things. I've been that way ever since, man, ever since I can remember. And I do see myself doing something big in real estate. I do see
right.
myself, probably getting into flipping homes and everything because I do enjoy that. I love the aspect of it, the craftsmanship that have to go in it, the details and everything. I get real passionate about it. And so it's definitely something that I can see myself doing down the road and in time. I've been studying on it. You can't just jump out there and start doing something without reading up
Of
on it and
course.
educating yourself on it
Mm,
first, and then start asking those around you that's involved in that type of work, and ask those questions and write down what they have to say, and once I get to the point where I feel like I'm really educated on it, and I'm really to a point where I can accept it, and I'm ready to move forward, then I will.
okay. Jason Campbell, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I might employ your services one day, so I'm going to come over and have a look at have a look at your house, and then we'll go from there and see if you're any good.
Uh,
Is there anything you'd like to say just to address the audience at here? Oh, actually, we didn't answer that question, did we? About
oh, talking about the undefeated season,
that's
about
correct.
the
Yeah, and
playoffs.
I'm conscious. Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
go for it. What do you think? You think
yeah.
we could
I
have?
say I feel like this: the
Do you think things would have been
2004,
different?
2004 undefeated season. I feel like changed college football. So I feel like we will forever be remembered as the team
Mm,
that changed college football. And the reason I say that is um, when I was there and we didn't get a chance to get to the national championship game because it was USC, Oklahoma, and ourselves undefeated. Um, it was a big talk. How can a team undefeated in the SEC, win 4 top 10 games and go undefeated and not play in the national championship game? And then after that, the SEC won like 7 in a row. But the whole playoff conversation started because of that year, because Utah also was undefeated. So it was four teams that was undefeated, and
mm,
so it was just hard, man. It was hard going through that. We felt like we did everything we supposed to do to get to the point to be national champs and everything. But in our hearts, we are national champs, and we feel like our legacy is we changed college football, which give other teams an equal opportunity now to compete for a national championship and not be left out like we did. So not all is lost. So
mm.
it's been great. It's still been fun, and still one of the best years ever in my career. And like I told you before, it's because man, I played with so many unselfish guys, man, on that team,
Mm,
and the guys that loved each other, cared for each other. Not just because we put the same uniform on, but because we was a brotherhood, and that meant a lot. Now we are all still close friends to this day. So continue to just try to, build and build.
good things breed good things. Listen, Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure. From one Jay Campbell to another, I'll sign off like that. And good luck with the future and everything that you've got coming. And like I said, I'm coming to pull you up on the whole interior decoration. So congrats on a career that was positive on the field. Let's see what you can do off it as well. All right.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks everyone for coming on and joining us live. Like I said, I enjoyed it. And hey, man, everyone stay safe and stay out of trouble and continue to stay upbeat.
Stay at home. Speak soon.
Yes, sir.
See you.